Alright everyone, so welcome back to my video and hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you're all healthy and well during what is a very nervous time for everyone in the country. But hopefully you've been doing well. Now today we are shooting another video and we are doing one about the Imperial MMI. Now I know a lot of you guys are studying MMIs right now if you're watching this when this has been released. If not, most of you will probably be here for medical application tips, and if so, brilliant. I'm going to be talking more about the Imperial College MMI, so what I went through when I was there. Obviously I've got through it successfully, so I think that I'm in a position now to give you some tips and advice on it. Very quickly before we get into the video, I want to give you a huge amount of thanks for the recent support over the videos. I've been really, humbled to get all these supporters and the numbers of subscribers, and it's been really great so far. So if you guys could just go smash that subscribe button down below just before you watch the video, it would be really grateful for me, and it means that I can put out more videos and will be more helpful to you guys as well. So thank you so much, and if you could just go smash that button down below. Without further ado, we're going to get into it now, and then we're going to go through 5 very quick tips in terms of what to do for the Imperial MMI. So tip number 1, what I would say is to prepare for a pretty standard MMI. Don't worry about it. I know people have said stories about MMIs sometimes being a little bit weird, different, you could have really weird stations, but Imperial is a very standard MMI. There's nothing to worry about. There's no sort of out-of-the-box stations. Some universities I know make you do really weird things like washing someone's hands for them, but Imperial is very standard and there's nothing to worry about in that sense. So I wouldn't really concern myself too much if I was going to Imperial in the future. So what I would say is just prepare for the standard interview stations. So your empathy stations, your role play stations, your personal statement stations. That's what they test. They don't go into any more detail on that, but it's very standard, bog standard interview stations or MMI that you would come across. Prepare your application and practice it really well. Imperial use your application in, I would say, at least half of the interviews. A personal statement station, a work experience station, volunteering station. So out of like 8 stations, that's already 3 I can think of, and I'm sure there are more. So, Imperial use your application. They believe it to be a really important part of your whole process of getting to medical school. So they will have your personal statement in front of them and they'll have your application in front of them. So they will definitely be looking at that and asking you questions on that. And I'd say at least half the stations in the Imperial MMI are going to be directly about your application. So really know it well, because they can ask you anything on it and they'll expect you to come up with top end answers. Obviously for Imperial, it's a very difficult university to get into and do the interview and everything. So they would expect you to have a high level of understanding for whatever you put in the application. Get a strong academic sense of your application. So similarly in tip 2 we spoke about knowing your application really well. What you want to know is the academic side of your application. So just as in Oxbridge, as you might prepare for an academic interview, Imperial like to have 1 academic station, and that's going to be about your work experience. Now most of you are going to have done stuff at care homes and retirement or some other sort of home or facility. They will cater towards certain conditions. So if it was a retirement home, it would be neurodegenerative diseases, things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. 1 station is likely to have your application say, okay, so you've done volunteering at a retirement home. Can you tell me more about vascular dementia? And they'll expect you to know the biology of it. Even if you haven't covered it in school, they'll expect you to have gone home, done some research on it, done some biological research on it. Not too complicated, just a definition, what causes it, and a few other bits and pieces. So maybe like first year uni level, very simple. Not too much, very slightly first year uni, but even not that far, I'd say. Literally just what's on Alzheimer's UK, the front website, literally what they have, the very brief description of it. Just simply, dementia is an umbrella term for a series of neurodegenerative diseases like vascular dementia, Alzheimer's, and you could say that vascular dementia is caused by strokes. And that's everything really, nothing too difficult. Literally the definition and some biological knowledge, that's all you really need. Be confident in your own speaking abilities. The reason I say this is in Imperial, a lot of the talking is going to be done by you. There's no sort of calculation station that I went through. There wasn't a data station, there's no sort of thinking station. It's all very sort of like a conversation. They like to have a flow of talk. So if you're sitting there sounding robotic and rehearsed, it won't fit in well with the general rhythm of an Imperial MMI. It's very much sort of snap, snap. I'm trying to think of the word. It's not rehearsed, that's all I'd say. It's very flowy. It's like having a conversation between a few individuals. And what they want to see is that you can think on your feet and that you know what to say. You haven't been rehearsed, you haven't learned certain answers and aren't regurgitating it. They'll, maybe stop you halfway through an answer and ask you something. It's going to be very much like having a conversation with someone like a peer or with a teacher. So you've got to get into the habit of just having a conversation and practicing the MMI as if you was having a conversation between you or a teacher or someone that you know well, because that's what Imperial like to see. They like to see people just talking off the cuff. So it's really important to know that. Know a lot about the university. Now, Imperial is one of those universities that like you to have done research on them before the MMI. Now, they will ask you a lot about, for example, clubs and societies. They'll ask you a lot about student life. They'll ask you a lot about what it's like to be in London, what you're looking forward to doing in London, because they want to know that you've done your research before coming here. Imperial is a tough university, so they need to know that you've done research and you're planning on coming here. So Imperial want you to know a lot about the local life, student life, what it's like being a student at Imperial. Do some research by maybe speaking to an Imperial student, and do some research by perhaps going to their website, having a look at what they've got on there from Imperial Medics, and just have a look at it. They might ask you, for example, about what clubs you're excited to join, how you're going to cope with being an Imperial student. This doesn't mean, obviously, that you have to go and join those clubs once you join the university. For example, I said some random clubs I remember when I had my interview, but having come to Imperial, I haven't joined that club. You know, I'm just taking whatever I want to do, and really, at this moment, I haven't actually engrossed myself in many clubs and societies yet, even though I said I did an interview, just simply because it takes some time to get used to things. You might find other things you're interested in. For me, I found other things that I'm interested in, and you know, it's just there. So anyway, yeah, that's everything. This was a pretty short video. I just wanted to shoot a little bit just before we do MMIs, and particularly on an Imperial one, and hopefully it's useful to you guys. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button down below, and remember to go and subscribe. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.